My name is Roman, and this talk is about viewing raw samples for troubleshooting queries. I'm working at Victormetrics, and as maintainers of the project, we have a lot of questions about why this query shows this and not that. And my question, did you know that what you see in Prometheus or in Victormetrics isn't actually real when you run the query? You're not seeing what exactly your database is storing. So every time you run a query, you actually query an instance or range API, which interprets the raw data that are actually stored in the database. For example, you might see less samples than you actually have in cases when you use, for example, step bigger than your resolution. And you might see more samples than you actually store because of the staleness and all this stuff. When Prometheus or Victormetrics also will show you ephemeral data points because it doesn't know that this target is already dead. So we have a lot of questions like that, and we have to troubleshoot them. And usually, as you can see, to solve this problem, I ask to export raw data users to see what's actually happening. And this talk is here only because on the previous PromCon in 2024, Brian Borham made a talk explaining how PromQL works under the hood, and he showed a nice trick about showing the underlying data in the Grafana. So the trick looks like that. You can actually query the instant API, but pass the vector, and you will show the real underlying data behind. So the quick demo to see how it works. So this is where you see the real data in Grafana, and you can like make a guess of what is happening inside or why PromQL is doing what it is doing. Okay, so in order to understand, to answer these problems of users, to troubleshoot the queries, sometimes I need to look behind. I need to see this raw data. And in order to simplify this job, to see the truth, I'm asking users to export the data so I can check every row samples to see what is wrong with them. So I made this feature request, and someone from Victormetrics team implemented it, and it's basically a specific view for viewing raw data. I would show you like typing it, but I have a mic in one hand, so I did this. I have a metric VMHTTP request total, and it's perfectly okay counter, red line, it's this counter plotted. Everything is okay with it. So let's try to rate it. Rate is more or less okay. It's a bit wobbly, but at least okay. Now I do irate, and irate looks not like I expected it to be, especially comparing to rate. So you see the rate shows me like 0.2, and here we have zeros and big spikes. So I answered these questions a lot, and I know exactly what is happening here. But what I will do, I will switch to this row query tab here. So I have tab here, showing the raw data in the UI. And if I zoom a bit, I see this thing here. So you see there are pairs of the data samples here inside. And these pairs of the data samples are 10 seconds apart. But every specific sample here, it's actually 1 second apart. So when I see this, I immediately ask the user on the GitHub, are you running high availability pairs of your collectors? And they usually say yes. So in fact, they like having two agents that scraping the same target twice, and they send in data, and this data is like 1 second to 1 millisecond apart. And because of this, you know how irate works. Irate comparing to rate compares two last data points on the look behind window. And if two last data points are exactly the same, you have zeros. So this is the troubleshooting story. And yeah, this row query tab is out of box there. It helps us to debug, to troubleshoot, to help users. It's part of our troubleshooting guide. And yeah, it allows also to expose data, export raw data in one click. So I can reproduce it or anyone else can reproduce it. What is missing yet is it's not show the duplicates. I wanted to show duplicates an extra icon. So if it detects the duplicates, I want like a big red something to tell, hey, something is wrong here. And would be nice also to show stale markers, because that's another source of why something is shown or not shown. That's it.